Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Greek ebook before it's gone.
In this video, you'll learn 20 of the most common words and phrases in Greek. Hi everybody, my name is Stefania. Welcome to the 800 Core Greek Words and Phrases video series. This series will teach you the 800 most common words and phrases in Greek. But there's a twist. With each new lesson in this series, we'll include the previous lessons at the end. So after you've learned the new words and phrases, stick around and review what you learned in previous lessons. Reviewing is one of the most important parts of learning a language. You can also get the full list right now at GreekPod101.com. Click the link in the description to access more example sentences, create your own flashcard deck, and finally master Greek. Okay, let's get started. First is ya. Hello. Ya. Ya. Hello. Γεια σας. Τι κάνετε? Hello. How are you? Γεια σας. Τι κάνετε? Συγγνώμη. Excuse me. Συγγνώμη. Συγγνώμη. Excuse me. Συγγνώμη, κάθεστε στη θέση μου. Excuse me, you are sitting on my seat. Συγγνώμη, κάθεστε στη θέση μου. Συγγνώμη. I'm sorry. Συγγνώμη. Συγγνώμη. I'm sorry. Συγγνώμη, δεν το ήθελα. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Συγγνώμη, δεν το ήθελα. Καληνύχτα. Good night. Καληνύχτα. Καληνύχτα. Good night. Καληνύχτα και σε ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Good night and thank you very much. Καληνύχτα και σε ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Χαίρο πολύ. Nice to meet you. Χαίρο πολύ. Χαίρο πολύ. Nice to meet you. Με λένε Γιάννη. Χαίρο πολύ. My name is John. Nice to meet you. Με λένε Γιάννη. Χαίρο πολύ. Τι κάνεις? How are you? Τι κάνεις? Τι κάνεις? How are you? Γεια σου Μαρία, τι κάνεις? Hello Maria, how are you? Γεια σου Μαρία, τι κάνεις? Ναι. Yes. Ναι. Ναι. Yes. Ναι, σωστό είναι. Yes, that's correct. Ναι, σωστό είναι. Όχι. No. Όχι. Όχι. No. Όχι, δεν το θέλω. No, I don't want it. Όχι. Δεν το θέλω. Ευχαριστώ. Thank you. Ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ. Thank you. Κατάλαβα. Ευχαριστώ. I understood. Thank you. Κατάλαβα. Ευχαριστώ. Είμαι. I am. Είμαι. Είμαι. I am. Είμαι η Λίζα. I am Lisa. Είμαι η Λίζα. Αντίο. Goodbye. Αντίο. Αντίο. Goodbye. Λίγο πριν χωριστούν, της είπε αντίο. Just before separating, he said goodbye to her. Λίγο πριν χωριστούν, της είπε αντίο. Κακός. Bad. Κακός. Κακός. Bad. Αυτός ο άντρας είναι κακός. This man is bad. Αυτός ο άντρας είναι κακός. Καλός. Good. Καλός. Καλός. Good. Έχει καλό καιρό σήμερα. The weather is good today. Έχει καλό καιρό σήμερα. Όμορφος. Pretty. Όμορφος. Όμορφος. Pretty. Είσαι πολύ όμορφος. You are very pretty. Είσαι πολύ όμορφος. Άσχημος. Ugly. Άσχημος. Άσχημος. Ugly. Αυτός είναι ένας πολύ άσχημος σκύλος. That is a very ugly dog. Αυτός είναι ένας πολύ άσχημος σκύλος. Εύκολος. Easy. Εύκολος. Εύκολος. Easy. Ο χασαποσέρβικος είναι ένας εύκολος ελληνικός χορός. The χασαποσέρβικος is an easy Greek dance. Ο χασαποσέρβικος είναι ένας εύκολος ελληνικός χορός. Δύσκολος. Difficult. Δύσκολος. Δύσκολος. Difficult. Τα αγγλικά είναι δύσκολα. English is difficult. Τα αγγλικά είναι δύσκολα. Κοντινός. Nearby. Κοντινός. Κοντινός. Nearby. Πήγε στο κοντινό φαρμακείο. He went to the nearby pharmacy. Πήγε στο κοντινό φαρμακείο. Μακρινός. Far away. Μακρινός. Μακρινός. Far away. Βρίσκεται σε ένα μακρινό μέρος. She's in a far away place. Βρίσκεται σε ένα μακρινό μέρος. Μικρός. Small. Μικρός. Μικρός. Small. Αυτό το pullover είναι πολύ μικρό. This sweater's too small. Αυτό το pullover είναι πολύ μικρό. Well done! In this lesson, you expanded your vocabulary and learned 20 new useful words. Click the link in the description and sign up for free at GreekPod101.com to get access to the full list of vocabulary you need for daily life conversations. You'll also get example sentences, custom flashcard decks, and more learning resources. See you next time! Γεια χαρά! Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphavito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the Alphavito. In our previous lesson, we learned two letters, alpha and mi. Remember them? Good! In this lesson, we'll move on to two more letters, see how they are written, and what we can do with them. Our first letter this time is taf. It's a consonant, and its sound is t. You may have heard it called tau, which is its usual name in English. I'm sure its uppercase form will seem very familiar since it's the same as the English T. This is what taf looks like in uppercase and lowercase. Taf. Taf. Here is taf in uppercase. You should already be an expert at this shape. It is handwritten like this. Taf. And this is what the lowercase taf looks like when it's printed. I think it's easier than the lowercase t in English since it's just an uppercase T, but smaller. When it is handwritten, the shape looks a little different, like this. Taf. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form, and here's the lowercase form. Did you get it? I'm sure you already knew how to write this, didn't you? Let's move on to our second letter for this lesson. This is a vowel that you may have heard called iota. In Greek, though, it is called iota, and it makes the sound E. Again, this will look very familiar since its appearance is the same as the English I. This is what the uppercase iota looks like. As I said before, it's exactly the same as the English I. It is handwritten like this. Iota. And this is what the lowercase iota looks like. Iota. Notice how the bottom curves slightly when it's handwritten. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form, and here's the lowercase form. All these were pretty easy, weren't they? Let's see what we can do with them. By themselves, taf and iota spell only one word in Greek, ti. Even though it's a very small word, it's very important and used all the time in Greek because it means what. For example, the first word in the question, ti ώρα είναι, which means what time is it? Other examples of its use are τι θα φάμε or what will we eat? This word is also used in τι κάνεις, which means how are you? So let's write this very important two-letter word, τι. Since these were super easy, let's try something using all four letters we know. Do you remember the first two? They were alpha and mi, right? Let's say them once again. And if we put these two together with taf and iota, what do we have? Mati, which means eye. Easy, huh? And if we add another alpha in the end, we get matya, which is the plural of eye, eyes. Let's write this together. Matya. Now it's time for Stefania's insights. As we said in our previous lesson, the best way to master the alfabito, the Greek alphabet, is by writing it as much as you can. So please don't neglect this. Another great help would be to start trying to recognize the letters you've learned so far in Greek texts. If you can't find any text, you can always check out the transcripts on GreekPod101.com's advanced audio blog lessons. Don't worry if you can't understand the words yet, you will be able to practice recognizing the letters you learn in here. That's it for this lesson. Do you know how to write OK in Greek? Check our next lesson and see for yourselves. It won't be difficult. See you in the next Alphabito Made Easy lesson. Γεια χαρά!
Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.
Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned the phrase συγγνώμη, μιλάτε αγγλικά. Excuse me, do you speak English? We mentioned the word συγγνώμη, which means excuse me in Greek. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use συγγνώμη and other words when apologizing in Greek. We should use συγγνώμη in formal situations such as when we are ordering something in bars or restaurants. For example, συγγνώμη, ένα καφέ παρακαλώ. Excuse me, a coffee please. We can also use it when asking a question. συγγνώμη, πού είναι η Ακρόπολη? Excuse me, where is the Acropolis? Sometimes we also hear people say παρακαλώ, which literally means please or I beg, but means the same thing as συγγνώμη when you want to draw somebody's attention. We always use this phrase in formal speech. Παρακαλώ. The informal way to say excuse me is με συγχωρείτε. Με συγχωρείτε. Just like συγγνώμη, we can use με συγχωρείτε when asking a question or when apologizing. All of these phrases can be used for either excuse me or I'm sorry. But if you really want to apologize for something, it might be better to use a different phrase. That phrase is lipame. It means I'm sorry or I'm sad and can be used in both formal and informal situations. Lipame. Like in other cases we have seen, the verb lipame, I'm sad or I'm sorry, is used without the personal pronoun εγώ, I. By just saying the verb, the listener understands you are talking about yourself. Now it's time for Christy's insights. Please remember that in Greece, if you accidentally bump into someone, you don't say, I'm sorry, lipame. Instead, we say signomi, excuse me, or me sυγχωρείτε, forgive me. Are you able to count in Greek? In the next lesson, we will learn the numbers in Greek from 1 to 10. I'll be waiting for you in our next Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned the numbers from 1 to 10. Have you forgotten? Here, I'll tell you again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now, let's continue from 11. 11. 11. 12. 12. 13. 13. 14. 14. 15. 15. 16. 16. 17. 17. 18. 18. 19. 19. And finally, we have 20. 20. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. These numbers may seem harder to remember, but you really just have to memorize 11, 12, and 20. All other numbers are a combination of 10, which means 10, and the numbers from 3 to 9. It's like saying 10-3, 10-4, etc. Let's not stop at 20. Counting to 100 is super easy. Now I'll give you the tens. 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90, 100, 100. You'll have to memorize these numbers, But the good news is creating compound numbers is very easy. They are formed by putting the tens in front of the single digits. This means, for example, that 34 is 34 and 87 is 87. Yes, that's right. Exactly like English. Let's try those combinations. 34 34 87 87. Got it? I told you it was really easy. Now it's time for Chrissy's Insights. The pronunciation we have used in this and the previous lesson is the standard pronunciation for numbers. Sometimes, though, especially in casual conversation, Greeks also use efta instead of epta, ochto instead of okto, and enea instead of enea. So if you notice someone using these words, don't be surprised. They're exactly the same as the ones you have learned. Actually, yours are more correct. After only 2 lessons, you are now able to count to 100 in Greek. Isn't that great? So let's go to the next lesson and see how we can use these numbers in their natural environment. That is, shopping. I'll be waiting for you in our next Ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα.
Hi everybody, this is Stefania. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's Alphabito Made Easy, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn the Greek alphabet, the alphabito. In our previous lessons, we covered 8 letters of the Greek alphabet. Do you remember them? They were alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, omicron, pi, and sigma, right? Some of these letters were very familiar to English speakers, and a couple of them were new. I'm sure that you didn't have any problem remembering and writing them, so in this lesson we will learn 2 more, one very familiar and one rather exotic. Our first letter is a vowel, ita, which makes an E sound. Like I said before, the writing will look familiar, at least in the uppercase form, since it's the same as the English H. The uppercase ita is handwritten like this. Ita. And this is what the lowercase ita looks like. It kind of looks like a lowercase h, but with the vertical line shortened. It is handwritten like this. Ita. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. This character is pretty easy, since the similarities to the English H are big, aren't they? So let's step up the difficulty with our second letter, the strange-looking psi. You may have heard it in English called psi. There is no corresponding sound in English. It makes a ps sound, like P and S said at the same time. Here's the uppercase psi. It looks like the trident, the symbol of the Greek god of the sea, Poseidon, doesn't it? If you ever forget how to pronounce this letter, just remember, psi is for Poseidon and his trident. It is handwritten like this. Psi. And this is what the lowercase psi looks like. It's the same as the uppercase psi, but written lower on the line with the vertical line going below it. It is handwritten like this. Psi. Let's do it again. Here's the uppercase form. And here's the lowercase form. Did you get it? It's not so hard, right? You just write something like a U and then add a vertical line. We now know 10 letters. That's almost half of the Greek alphabet, and the possibilities for new words increase exponentially with each new letter. Let's try our hand in 3 new words, all using the exotic psi. Let's have a look at them. The first is psito, meaning roast, as in psitokreas or roast meat. Let's write this together. Psito. Not that hard, is it? And speaking of psito, or roast, what do you need to put it in the oven? A tapsi, or pan. Let's write this one. Tapsi. Do you feel up for something a little more complicated? How about the word elegant? In Greek, this is kompsos. And even though writing it isn't that hard, saying it is a little tricky, since you have to combine the m and the ps sounds. For the moment though, let's concentrate on the writing part. Kompsos. One grammatical note. Kompsos is masculine, so you can use it only for masculine nouns. For feminine nouns, it would be kompsi, while for neutral nouns, kompso. Let's do a brief recap of everything we learned so far. We have alpha, mi, taf, iota, kappa, omicron, pi, sigma, eta, and psi. Okay? Now it's time for Stefania's insights. You might have noticed that this lesson's eta sounds exactly like the iota we learned in lesson 2. Why is that? Well, it has to do with the complicated history of eta. At first, it is generally believed to be pronounced like a long version of epsilon and sounded like e. After the classical period, however, its sound started to change and merged with iota, as did another letter. Trust me, you don't want me to go on. Just learn them as E, like all Greeks, and you'll be perfectly fine. So, do you want to learn how to write the name of our home planet? In this lesson, you learn how to write half of it. In our next Alphabet Made Easy lesson, you will learn the other half. Don't miss it. Γεια χαρά!
Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.
Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Greek. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Είστε έτοιμοι? Are you ready? Ξεκινάμε, so let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the easiest. It is just one word, ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ means thanks. When saying thanks very much, you just need to add πολύ. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Πολύ means a lot, so ευχαριστώ πολύ is like saying thanks very much. During the last lesson, we talked about both the informal and the formal way of speaking Greek. Ευχαριστώ is a casual way to thank someone. If you want to be more formal, there is another phrase you should use. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ or σε ευχαριστώ πολύ. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ or σε ευχαριστώ πολύ. Let's break this phrase down. The σε or σας before ευχαριστώ πολύ literally means you in the second person singular and the second person plural, which is the form used for being formal in Greek. In the plain ευχαριστώ there is no you included, but here we use it and make the phrase sound more polite. Depending on the formality of the situation, we will use se or sas. How do you answer? It's easy. There are basically two different ways to do it. The first is τίποτα. Τίποτα. Τίποτα literally means it's nothing, but it is the equivalent of you are welcome. The other way to say you're welcome is the expression παρακαλώ. Παρακαλώ. Literally, this phrase means I beg or please, but it has become a common and polite way to respond to someone thanking you. So when someone says ευχαριστώ to you, we can simply reply with τίποτα or παρακαλώ. Now it's time for Chris's insights. If you're not sure about whether to use ευχαριστώ or σας ευχαριστώ πολύ, keeping it simple is always your safest bet. You don't have to worry about formal or informal situations. Ευχαριστώ can be used with just about anyone, anywhere, and at any time. Do you know what addio means? In our next lesson, you'll learn this and other greetings in Greek. Addio και ευχαριστώ. Ραντεβού στο επόμενο μάθημα. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. Hi, I'm Chrissy. Pleased to meet you. In this series, we are going to learn basic Greek expressions. It is super easy and it only takes 3 minutes. In this lesson, you are going to learn how to introduce yourself in Greek. There are only 2 sentences you need to do it. But first, it is important to clarify that in Greek, there is a difference between formal and informal language. Let's first see how Greek people introduce themselves in an informal situation. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. Hi, I'm Chrissy. Pleased to meet you. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. Start by saying γεια, λέγομαι, then say your name. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Finally, say χαίρομαι πολύ. Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Χαίρομαι πολύ. And now, let's see the same sentence in formal speech. Χαίρετε, λέγομαι Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου. Χαίρομαι πολύ για τη γνωριμία. Hello, my name is Chrissy Papadopoulou. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Χαίρετε, λέγομαι Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου. Χαίρομαι πολύ για τη γνωριμία. So what has changed from the previous introduction? Let's take a close look at this together. Ya has been substituted with the formal greeting χαίρετε, Greek for rejoice. Λέγομαι Χρυσή has not been changed. Λέγομαι stands in both cases for my name is. However, during a formal self-introduction, we also say our last name. So I said Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου. Here, you would say your full name. Finally, there is one more change to the ending. We added the words για τη γνωριμία to the phrase χαίρομαι πολύ. In informal cases, we can just say χαίρομαι πολύ. Literally, I'm happy or pleased. But in formal cases, it's good to add για τη γνωριμία, which is Greek for the acquaintance, or in this case, your acquaintance. One more time. The informal way to introduce yourself in Greek is γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή, χαίρομαι πολύ. The formal way to introduce yourself is χαίρετε, λέγομαι Χρυσή Παπαδοπούλου, χαίρομαι πολύ για τη γνωριμία. Now it's time for Chris's insights. Greek people usually shake hands when they meet someone, sometimes extremely vigorously. So accompany your introduction with your best firm handshake. And if you're not sure if you have to use the formal or the informal greeting, the informal greeting χαίρομαι πολύ is not considered rude. It is acceptable and used widely even in formal situations. Do you know how we say thank you in Greek? You'll learn how to say this and many other words in the next lesson. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα. See you then! Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned the most common forms of greetings in Greek. Do you remember them? In this lesson, we are going to learn a very useful phrase. Do you speak English? If you find yourself in a situation where you need assistance in English, this phrase can be a lifesaver. And because you are asking it in Greek, you can be sure that everyone will understand what you're saying, even if their answer is no. Here is the informal way to say it. Μιλάς αγγλικά. Μιλάς αγγλικά. Μιλάς is to speak, and αγγλικά is English. In Greek, verbs change depending on who the subject is. The word μιλάς is conjugated from the verb μιλάω, which means to speak. By the ending s, we understand this is the second person singular. This is the informal way to say you speak. You will notice that the personal pronoun itself, the word you, is missing. This happens very often in Greek. Because the verb ending changes depending on the subject, you don't need to actually say the subject in order to be understood. To learn how to properly conjugate omega verbs like μιλάω, please look at our Absolute Beginner series on GreekPod101.com. You can find very detailed grammar lessons and resources there. We are now going to make this sentence formal. This is done by using the formal version of you, which is εσείς. If we change the word for you, we will conjugate μιλάω differently. It becomes μιλάτε. Everything else stays the same. Μιλάτε αγγλικά. Μιλάτε αγγλικά. Adding συγγνώμη, excuse me, the sentence becomes even more polite. Συγγνώμη, μιλάτε αγγλικά. Συγγνώμη, μιλάτε αγγλικά. The responses you will receive could be one of these three. Ναι, yes. Ναι. Λίγο, a little. Λίγο. Όχι, δεν μιλάω αγγλικά. No, I don't speak English. Όχι, δεν μιλάω αγγλικά. Since this last one is a negative statement, we need to say then or the before the verb μιλάω. Here you can also notice what we mentioned before. The personal pronoun εγώ, that is, I, is not used since the ending of the verb shows that it is the first person. Now it's time for Chris's insights. For those of you who are not only English speakers, you can obviously use this question with any language you need. Greek people study other European languages, so maybe you will get lucky. Just substitute αγγλικά with Italica for Italian, Russica for Russian, Hispanica for Spanish, Germanica for German. In this lesson, we mentioned the expression συγγνώμη. But did you know that this could also be used as an apology? In the next lesson, we will learn this and other ways to apologize in Greek. It's never too late to show your good manners with Greek people. I'll see you in our next ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Γεια! Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In our last lesson, we learned how to use συγγνώμη, με συγχωρείτε, and λυπάμαι when apologizing in Greek. In this lesson, we are going to learn something even more practical, how to count from 1 to 10 in Greek. And we'll learn them all in 3 minutes. 3 λεπτά. Are you ready? Let's start. 1. 1. 2. 2. 3. 3. 4. 4. 5. 5. 6. 6. 7. 7. 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10. Okay, now repeat after me. I'll say the numbers and give you time to repeat each one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great job! What is before ένα? Do you know? Yes, it's 0. In Greek, it's μηδέν. Μηδέν. So now, you can count pretty much anything and do other useful stuff like giving your friends your cell phone number and writing down theirs. Let's see how to do that in Greek. We'll use the phrase ο αριθμός μου είναι, which means my number is. Ο αριθμός μου είναι. Ο αριθμός μου είναι 6, 9, 7, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 0. Can you read it by yourself? 6, 9, 7, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 0. Okay? Great! Now it's time for Chrissy's insights. Like most words in Greek, numbers are gender sensitive. The numbers we learn today are used when counting neuter objects. The masculine and feminine numbers are almost the same, but with slight differences for the numbers 1 through 4. We won't get into this for now, since with the neuter numbers, you can do most things. Even if you use the wrong gender, Greeks will understand you. Do you know the Greek word for 100? If you don't worry. In the next lesson, we are going to learn the numbers from 11 to 100 in Greek. Your task now is to practice the numbers we studied in this lesson from 1 to 10. I'll be waiting for you in our next ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά lesson. Θα τα ξαναπούμε στο επόμενο μάθημα.
Γεια, λέγομαι Χρυσή. Hi everybody, I'm Chrissy. Welcome to GreekPod101.com's ελληνικά σε 3 λεπτά. The fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Greek. In the last lesson, we learned how to introduce ourselves in Greek. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to use good manners as we thank people. Είστε έτοιμοι? Are you ready? Ξεκινάμε, so let's start. There are several ways to thank someone. Let's start with the easiest. It is just one word, ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ. Ευχαριστώ means thanks. When saying thanks very much, you just need to add πολύ. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Πολύ means a lot, so ευχαριστώ πολύ is like saying thanks very much. During the last lesson, we talked about both the informal and the formal way of speaking Greek. Ευχαριστώ is a casual way to thank someone. If you want to be more formal, there is another phrase you should use. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ or σε ευχαριστώ πολύ. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ or σε ευχαριστώ πολύ. Let's break this phrase down. The σε or σας before ευχαριστώ πολύ literally means you in the second person singular and the second person plural, which is the form used for being formal in Greek. In the plain ευχαριστώ there is no you included, but here we use it and make the phrase sound more polite. Depending on the formality of the situation, we will use σε or σας. How do you answer? It's easy. There are basically two different ways to do it. The first is Τίποτα. Τίποτα. Τίποτα literally means it's nothing, but it is the equivalent of you are welcome. The other way to say you're welcome is the expression παρακαλώ. Παρακαλώ. Literally, this phrase means I beg or please, but it has become a common and polite way to respond to someone thanking you. So when someone says ευχαριστώ to you, we can simply reply with τίποτα or παρακαλώ. Now it's time for Chris's insights. If you're not sure about whether to use ευχαριστώ or σας ευχαριστώ πολύ, keeping it simple is always your safest bet. You don't have to worry about formal or informal situations. Ευχαριστώ can be used with just about anyone, anywhere, and at any time. Do you know what addio means? In our next lesson, you'll learn this and other greetings in Greek. Addio και ευχαριστώ. Ραντεβού στο επόμενο μάθημα.
Expand your vocabulary with our Core 2000 Words ebook. It's free and packed with essential expressions that you'll use on a daily basis. Start building your vocabulary today. Click the link in the description below to download your free Greek ebook before it's gone.